I've been back in Michigan for less than 24 hours, and so it's been a few days since I bought these plants, and I'm sitting here between all the vehicles and checking them out right now for the first time. And they don't look that great because it's the end of the growing season, but they are still very alive and not looking any worse than the plants that are in the, already planted in the ground. You can see the echinacea has like brown spots, and I already cut off these flowers. There's maybe we'll get another flower here. The lavender is, oh, I just pruned that one, but it has all these spent flowers with their seed pods. And the dianthus is almost done flowering itself. But I did also get this drift rose. It's a pink drift. Here's the tag. And I want to prune the pink drift before I plant it. The only issue is it's fall, and you're not supposed to prune your roses much in fall because they might start growing new stems, which can just be damaged in the winter. It is still blooming a bit, and it has a bunch of rose hips. Here are some spent roses, and all I'm going to do, although I do kind of want to see what the rose hips look like in winter, if they are going to turn red. I haven't had this kind of rose before, so I'm not sure. Here's a withered rose hip. I wonder if there are seeds inside, or if it just shriveled. I can't tell with my bare eyes if there's anything in there. So what I'm going to do is just deadhead rather than prune. No matter the season, you can always remove dead bits too. If you were to prune, know that this right here is a little node, which means if you were to prune above it, like right here, which is where you want to cut, it will grow a new branch from that spot. Usually we want the branches to grow from the outside in, so you'd probably want to cut above this one rather than this one. So if you were pruning, you could cut right here. Taking a look at this little bunch of flowers, they're all spent. They're all going to be turning into rose hips. You can see right there it's beginning to form a rose hip already. This right here is where this little floribunda sprouted. It almost looks like it could be a bud, or the beginning of a bud, like this down here. So I'm just going to cut the flowers off right there. There's the cut, and there's a potential flower, perhaps. Might be too late in the season for it to flower, but maybe not. We'll check out the rest of the plant and see if we can find any signs. Here's another withered flower, and right there looks like there might be potential for another one. I can't tell if that's a cut stem or not, but there might be potential for a flower here, so I'll cut right here. And there's the cut. Here's a little piece of a stem that's browned at the tip, and this is going to brown for sure, so I'm just going to cut it off. Just going to deadhead this little bunch right where it meets the stem by a leaf. Here's a bunch of spent flowers and rose hips and a broken stem. I think I'm just going to take it down to above this leaf right here. And it looks like we've found the culprit that has eaten this leaf. He can continue his meal in the compost pile. Here's a big clump. I think I might cut above this node right here. Maybe it'll pop up some flowers. The rose hips are really cute. I might leave some. See the swelling that's going on right there? And perhaps right there. So I'm going to cut here. The leaves do have a bit of this white stuff on them, but that happens to roses. Here's another weird cut. It's cut at an angle. That's often done so that moisture doesn't land on the cut, so it'll like fall off, but I don't understand what the point of that cut is. There are no nodes anywhere near it, so I'll just cut lower. You can just pull off leaves like this if they're ugly. Looks like we have a little bud right here. And another one right here and here. I think this might be something growing right there. These are pretty tiny roses, and my grandma usually just like snaps her roses off, but these ones are so thin it doesn't really work that way. Plus, of course, it's better just to cut it off with pruners. The inside of a rose hip. There are seeds, but roses are usually grafted rather than seeded. But my grandma has seeded a rose before, and it grew a flower. But this one isn't mature yet. And this one looks more mature, but probably not. No. Nope. You can try to use your fingernails to pinch these, but if you look closely, the stems do have thorns on them. They're tiny, tiny thorns. So be careful. More buds, and in all the crevices, it looks like they're pretty much already used. But right here, I see maybe a little bit of potential, so I'll cut here. Looks like potential to me, so I'll cut here. That's a tough one. Or here. Roses do tend to rust as well. Or here. That's as close as you should cut. It's very close. Don't cut any closer than that. There's a little rose hip. And there's what looks like maybe a bud. So that's all I'm going to do with the rose today. I took off most of the rose hips. I'm leaving some because I want to see what they're going to look like. And I might pick at the yellow leaves a little bit more. It definitely had an infestation of rose caterpillars. But I think I took care of that. It does have a little bit of that fungus on the leaves. But again, that's a rose thing, and at one point I will plant it.